Good afternoon, everybody. So nice to see so many joining us today, not only from our creative arts and environmental and pedagogy program network, but also from some other networks and also some friends from other places in the world. I think we have Spain here, and just a pleasure. Just to let you know, this is being recorded. And for your information, I just say I'm David Yokin. I'm the man behind the scenes of the Cape Network and working very, very prodigiously with NORDPLUS now for almost 23 years. This is a unique network because it is really focused on a multidisciplinary approach to arts education and arts and science. I just have a few thank yous before we proceed with our fantastic kickoff webinar today. I'd like to thank, of course, NORDPLUS for their support of the network, and also all of my colleagues and students from the NORDPLUS network. Inside of our Turku University of Applied Sciences, my colleagues from our dance program, Eddie Alperne and Katja Korpi and Maya Raumani, and from our water engineering program, whose students have also been participating from our university. That would be Pia Leskinen and Arto Hutta. And also within the Arts Academy, our Director of Music and Performing Arts, Eero Linjamaa, and our Arts Academy Director, Timo Tanskinen, and of course, our University President, Vesa Tatila, all of whom have been very supportive of the actions we've been doing. So I am a senior music lecturer at the Arts Academy. I also serve as the chair of the Fulbright Finland Foundation and have had the opportunity to be intimately involved in something called the Fulbright Arctic Initiative. And it is a reality that a number of years ago, we were anticipating this potential climate change situation, but we're really in the middle now of what we can say is a climate crisis. The role of the Cape Network is to really bring together different disciplines from the arts and science and dialogue and see ways how we can go forward and create innovative workshops and possible curricula. And we would have actually been meeting today in Tallinn, Estonia for our first kind of gathering workshop for this year, but due to the pandemic, we are now on a more remote situation online. It is a great pleasure that we have the opportunity to have our guest today, Vespa Laine, who is the founder of the Fern Orchestra. She herself is a lighting artist and has been really active in the context of this interdisciplinary work, meeting and working with evidence-based science and being informed about the context of the climate crisis, which I call, it's really true at this point. And also Ilona Salonen, dance artist who has been recently involved in the performative work that they will speak about. And I know, let's see, is Vespa, she was mentioning that she was having some connectivity problems because she's out in the archipelago, but she's here, of course she's here, okay. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to turn things over to Vespa and Ilona and just want to thank them both, and we proceed.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure always to see people interested in the same thing as Fern Orchestra. Yes, I'm Vespa Laine. I'm sitting here in the Finnish archipelago, city called Parainen, which is the Swedish-speaking area here near Turku. So I'm usually speaking Swedish, not English, so let's try to figure out something for you. I'm representing Fern Orchestra, which is an art and science collective from Finland. And we do live in different cities. It would be really easy if we would all be based in Turku or somewhere, but we live in Helsinki and Turku and this archipelago. And we do projects or artworks that consist light and sound art, performances, contemporary dance, publications. And we have been working with plants and microorganisms from year 2017. And we have had 4 stage designs, if I would say so, and then several different light and art installations, for example, in Lux Helsinki 2019, which is the biggest art festival in Finland. Also a biggest light art festival in Finland. But today, David had asked me to talk about more about the performances that we made. We had a luxury of having a premiere last September in Turku City Theatre, and we kind of it was in the middle of the lockdown, so we could do 15 performances there. And it was the performance was called MARELD, and it combined circus elements and contemporary dance, and also this algae, bioluminescence algae, dinoflagellat Alexandrium ostenfeldii. That was in the center of the performance, I would say so. And then we also had 2019, we had a performance in Turku University's botanical gardens called Vox Herbarium. And I was thinking that maybe for getting the big picture about the Fern Orchestra, I would first show you a slideshow which I made for Lux Helsinki last year, like this Pecha Kucha that I show 20 pictures and 20 seconds per picture. So I won't stuck in one picture so long, but you get the perspective of what we do in Fern Orchestra. So it's here. So this is a bottle garden that I made 2014. And it's a closed biosphere. And it kind of, I forgot it outside for a couple of years. And when I found it, there was a fern inside. And after that, I began to think that if the plants could talk, what would they say? And that came to a performance called Fern that was premiered in 2017. It was a solo piece for me where I created this closed biosphere and played the plants. So I composed a symphony for 12 plants, and there are sensors attached to the plants, and there comes a circuit and you can play the plants in that way, I should say. And this is one of the key things that we do in Fern Orchestra. We also have this, that the performance is always about the plants. And this is, actually I'm having this plant here right with me. And this is from the performance called Arboretum that we toured in 2018 in different places, in festivals. It combined contemporary dance and this singing plants, I would say. This is the Fern Orchestra in my terrace, hanging around, having a free time between the shows. And we are waiting for them to, to go outside again after the snow melts. This is me in Ruisrock, which is the oldest rock festival in Finland. we have these plant jam sessions that people can come and play the plants and find their inner plant player. So we have done several festivals, art happenings, and so on. This is a small clip from yes. This is a kind of a vertical garden that we made to Ruishelmi Festival, where you could show light to the plants and they react to the light through sound, that the sound is different. This is an installation called Nexus from a bio art exhibition 2019 called Wavelengths, where the tomato controlled its own light 3 months in the gallery. It survived and it had also 3 tomatoes. This is us having the vernissage. And you can see that is also a collaboration with Åbo Academy. We had another piece there as well with the dinner flageolet. But because it only shows in the darkness, so there's no photo of it. This is my dear colleague Markus Heino in the botanical garden, making a record of that plant. I don't remember what was it, but we recorded several plants and had big plans what to do with those recordings. And this is from the performance Vox Herbarium from the Botanical Garden 2019. I think that the venue is the best one yet to have a performance. And this is the bioluminescence algae Alexandrium ostenfeldii that was first in the Lux Helsinki Festival in an installation called Breath. You can see it only in the darkness. So, and the microorganism is so small that you can't see it with your bare eye, but you can see the light that it produces. This is the phenomenon in the nature. The photo is really dodgy, but you can see this sea fire, or in Nordic language, it's called MARELD. And this is the installation in Lux Helsinki. We had these laboratory bottles there hanging, and the algae was inside there, the bottles. And this is how it looks like when the lights are on. So there's lots of this self-made electronics, I would say. And there's also Markus Heino, who I'm working closely. And this is from installation Aqua Vivae from the BioArt installation, where we also use this algae. These were like giggling algae that when you touch the bottle, it will giggle. And being an artist is also being an activist. This is from Kajaani 2019 maybe, protesting against the Black Friday Consumptions Day. Okay, thank you for this. And let's see, where have I put my... I'm trying to find the Zoom now. Where is it to stop sharing? Oh, there is it. Yes. And then I was thinking that maybe I could show you also a video clip that was made so you can see a moving image as well from 2 performances. It was last week that I attended this Asian networking thing in Taipei. Of course, it was from my home, but there's also some video clips about our performances that they made. So let's have it here.
Hi, my name is Vespa Laine and I'm representing Fern Orchestra, a multidisciplinary art and science collective from Finland.
Vespa, I think we're still seeing the
algae called Alexandrium ostenfeldi.
Should we be seeing an
that
image?
glows in the dark.
Yeah.
We have studied subjects such as photosynthesis, senses of the plants, and otherness of single-celled organisms.
Yes, it didn't share it.
Excuse me, if you share, please use share computer sound and optimization video, left side on the bottom, two check marks to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gerhard.
Hi
Tallinn.
to everyone.
Hi.
Tallinn University.
Okay, I'm trying to see where did it go. Yeah, I'm trying to find the video. Where did it go now?
Yes, we tested this yesterday and it works, so I know it will work today also. But just
Yes.
a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody can relax because we're a really friendly network. I mean, really, we're all with you. This is not an academic research presentation time. That's for later.
If I share it now, like this and there. Now. Is it? Yeah, it's now. Yeah, and then I go there myself to click the button. No.
And then, yeah, at least we saw it. A little bit blurry. Now
Yeah,
we see the white. Yes, now we see it a little bit blurry. And maybe you take it back to the start.
No, that's not good either. Oh my God, this is terrible.
You wanted to do some activism here to put a little bit another layers.
Okay, I tried to do it again because I don't know where did it go.
In the meanwhile, I can say that hello everyone. So I have been speaking here a few times. So my name is Ilona Salonen and I'm here because I've been working with Fern Orchestra and I attended to MARELD production and the art piece. So yes, that's my point of view from the performer view in this interesting work. Let's see if we say something else here.
I don't want to get anybody confused, but I have a quick question about that Vox Herbarium.
Vox Herbarium.
Yeah, that was at the Biological Garden. I think were there workshops also offered, because this is my introduction to the Fern Orchestra was through our students who had been out to that event that was happening there, and they came back with this total excitement that they had had this interaction with the plants and the possibility to create the sound world from the plants. But Vespa is focused. She can answer later.
I'm trying to find the, because I have so many windows have open now, so I have to find it. Somehow it didn't work that way I was thinking. Although I checked it before, but it doesn't go on full screen somehow.
That's weird because we saw it already.
Yeah, but then something happened.
2 times.
I'm trying to get it here again.
Kind of drawn towards seeing how my work.
Okay, now I'm sharing this. So from my desktop like that. This is not me, but
Could also be met in this culture and how it can be affected by the.
you see it now?
Hi, my name is Vespa Laine and I'm representing Fern Orchestra, a multidisciplinary art and science collective from Finland. We work with plants and bioluminescence algae called Alexandrium ostenfeldi that glows in the dark. We have studied subjects such as photosynthesis, senses of the plants, and otherness of single-celled organisms. The works consist contemporary dance, performance art, publications, and light and sound art. Our work highlights the relationship between humans, light, and nature. Plants and algae are in the focus of the performances. Fern Orchestra designs all shows with an ecological mindset. We create the performances with low carbon footprint. For example, we travel by land and think about the consumption and material use already in designing phase, and what happens to them afterwards as well. Of course, the most ecological performance is the one that is often performed. Right now, I am in an installation called Plant Bubble, which is a workplace and interactive artwork. So these bubbling and whispering noises, sounds you might hear, comes from plants. In the performance, Fox Herbarium, Plant Series 4, it was performed in a botanical garden of Turku University in 2019. There we defined plants in a taxonomical way through sound and movement. Vox Herbarium verifies the senses of the plants, and dancers' kinesthetic intelligence is combined with the song of the plants. Vox Herbarium is designed to be performed in any garden. So we would love to hear how do the plants all over the world sound like. The most recent work was MARELD, that was premiered in Turku City Theatre. It combined contemporary dance, algae, circus elements, and sound and light art. We kept the carbon footprint low in MARELD. For example, we used only one light source and donated the ticket income to preserve forest. MARELD traveled through the layers of the sea. It began from familiar humanity and ended up with otherness of a single-celled organisms.
So after everything, there was some moving picture as well. The performance MARELD is because it's also it's so dark that you can't really have a good video about the performance. So that's why it is really dodgy, the video, because the dinoflagellate needs to be in darkness that you can see it. Yes, but David, you had a question that I wasn't able to answer.
No, I was just curious. Thank you so much. A little bit, unfortunately, the video from my end was the connectivity or something. We didn't get to see it in real time, but got the basic image. In this Vox Herbarium at on Ruisalo, did you also have workshops? Because as I say, my first encounter with Fern Orchestra was from our students who had been participating and came back very illuminated and excited by the action that they were able to interact with the plants.
We didn't have any actual workshops, but we usually have in every plant-based performance. So always afterwards, after the performance, the audience can also interact with the plants so that they understand that there's no magic in it, that it's only like a physics or biologist, that how does it, the sound, where does it come, and so on.
And what is that sound?
It's basically because there are, we call them happenings inside the plant, because the plant is photosynthesizing or having water or sleeping or whatever it does. So there's happenings inside the plant. So we measure those happenings, and then the happenings is turned to a sound. So there's no magic in it. It's just basic things.
So there's no processing. We are literally hearing that sound.
Well, we give the sound to the plant, of course, but we have decided not to, that the plant doesn't sound like a piano or so. So it's always like some kind of a noise that it has, because we think that, well, there are several cases that, for example, in a botanical garden, we worked there for 2 months. And first day when we went there, so we plugged in one tree, and it sounded all the time really same, like this boom, boom sound. And one night we were thinking that maybe the machine is broken or something because it's silent. But then we noticed that it goes to sleep in the evening when the sun doesn't anymore shine. And it was really similar all the time. But then one day it had a really like a jazz happenings going there all the time. It was like really, really good moves and good vibes with that tree. But that was only that one time. So we don't really know about what happened then. It would be really nice to study like one tree for 1 year or so. So how does the sun and the moisture and everything affects to it? You can't really know that. That also make me think that we really don't know anything about plants. And because of the issues, environmental issues that are happening now, so we are losing all the time knowledge that we didn't even know there was. So of course, turning to these plant sounds or turning these inside plant things into the sound, so it gives you an idea that what is going on. Of course, you have to fill the gaps yourself then what is going on, but that's part of the artistic work, of course. But still, it's there's so much that we don't know, and that's something that we want to put the focus on as well.
John Cage was very also focused on plants. He has these two wonderful pieces called Branches and Child of Tree, where the percussionist or musician are playing cacti, and it's amplified. But I think what you're doing is actually very deep inside of the actual, the sensibility, not just the sound of a leaf, but the interior sound of the plant.
Yes, and of course, when you give the plant as a sound, so it becomes more human-like because it has a sound. But then you can also, because people are often say that, oh, that sounds so terrible when you are pinching them and touching them and so they scream and so. And I was like, yeah, what do you think about the tree the forest that have been cut down? How would that sound like? So it gives you an idea. Oh, there's a Spanish cacti, is it? Yeah, but still, I'm thinking that now with these COVID days, when there are live streamings and people are performing online, so you have to really think about differently as well. And we are now making a dance movie for plants. Of course, humans can watch it as well, but you watch it with your plant like this. So then you kind of interact with, you have a new way of looking at it as well. But let's not go there. But I'm just saying that there are so many possibilities that we haven't discovered even yet. And they are fading.
And sorry.
Yeah.
I want to add something like what we had in MARELD. There wasn't there was in sound design, there was also initiation from, wasn't it RNA or DNA from the algae? So there was like inspiration from that, but also because the light was the beginning point of the work, that people could interact with the algae with themselves. So it's not just something like behind the scenes, but really concretely they could shake the water and the algae in it, so they get the really concrete thing and the connection with the nature.
So the algae was real time in the performance. It wasn't some kind of video or anything.
We had also the light design, but we had in the beginning, we had the whole darkness so that people could, and the vision could adapt. But then we had the algae there. Everybody could have their own bottle and they could shake it and watch the performance with the algae or however they choose, but everybody had the opportunity.
And I think that one, well, that's something I also have to say, that because I have education as a lighting designer, so I think about these performances through light. And my lighting design is nowadays based in photosynthesis. So I'm not that, because I have a background from theater and so I've done these big performances and musicals and so on. So it's going through this, the street is going through photosynthesis, that what is most important thing in light, and it is the photosynthesis that gives light to this earth, life to this earth as well. And this algae that we work with is also a photosynthetic algae. And actually people don't really know about, but in the seas, the algae and photosynthetic bacteria, they produce half of the oxygen in the earth. So that's why it's really important to protect the seas as well. That people are talking about preserving the forest, and so that's also a very good thing. But because protecting the sea is somehow, we don't live, lots of people don't live by the sea, they don't see the sea, but it's also really important to keep the waters clean as well. And the algae is something that we do this collaboration with University of Åbo Academy. And one of our Fern Orchestra's member is a marine biologist, Kone Foundation, who provides these algae for us. And also, like during long discussions, we go through things that you can't really find the knowledge from the internet, for example, because I think one of the main reasons and one important thing to notice is that there are lots of good research on nature preservance and algae and marine biology, but you can't really get hold on to it. You can't read it anywhere. And the study is funded by us, by the taxpayers, as you might think. But then you don't really get the knowledge from anywhere, because the scientists, they do the scientist research, they go to the conferences where there are scientists, other scientists that might already know the thing, and then they do publications, scientific publications that are so expensive to read from online. And that's something that is really bothering me, that why is it so? Because I believe that the knowledge is the key to everything, because like what man has discovered plastic in 50s, in the 60s, the scientists already said that this is not good. We should not use this way. And still it hasn't the impact. It doesn't have any, maybe it has a small impact now in our lives. But it should be something that you can hear or read every day somewhere. But it's quite hard to get if you are interested in some small microorganisms. You can't really have knowledge of that.
We're very fortunate in our network that we have the Marine Research Institute of Klaipėda University in Lithuania as one of the partners. And this meeting, as your opportunity working with Kone, and this opportunity for us to have that interaction with that institute is really one of the core ideas of this network. So it's really gratifying to hear about how you're working with him, but also the dire importance for this information to be out in the public domain.
Mm. And I also think that this collaboration with this scientist has given a lot to him as well. That it's not only that the artists come around and give me everything and I want to know. It's also giving him a lot that he thinks about differently, that how can he also use his practice in other ways and also somehow to make it popular as well. Because the scientists are usually not the kind of persons who like to go to public meetings and be there. There are only like few of them in Finland as well. So this is also a way for them to make their research known. And of course, when you work with microorganisms that are not visible for the eye, so it's kind of hard to imagine that what you have against you when you go to a theater to see an algae play. What does it mean? So the otherness of these single-celled organisms is something that we have also been discovering or studying, that when you leave the human out of the picture, so the otherness is something like this view that opens and is somewhere far, so otherness. And when you study it and you go closer to it, so then it's not it becomes familiar to you. And this is also one way for an artist to somehow reach something that maybe the scientist doesn't reach, because they research it as an object. So that's one of the tools I would say that artists should more seek precisely, that if the physics says that colors are just photons from different surfaces, so the artist thinks, what does it really means? So it's like this hidden diversity is my kind of topic of this artistic research, if I can use that word. For me, is the hidden diversity of our world or so. And it doesn't have anything to do with some kind of magic or these esoteric worlds around us, but just think it somehow differently, and also read about the quantum physics and so on. What do they have offer? There's a whole new landscape of everything there, what you can use.
I was curious if Ilona might illuminate a little bit about her experience as a performer and creator in MARELD, and the knowledge of the science. I like this term, evidence-based knowledge, and how that impacted you as you were creating the work of really getting to know the deep information about what was being presented.
Yes, I was thinking like that we were working really like devising what I feel, that everybody brought different perspectives, and it was more like a research, I think, for all of us. Of course, Vespa and Markus have been working with this, and Kone with these subjects many years. So of course, when I joined like last autumn, for me the time perspective has been much shorter. But anyway, I actually, by the way, have a short period of time in university with chemistry and biology, so it's not totally unknown world for me. But yeah, that it was more like collaborative, kinetic research from my perspective, but also like research in many ways. Yeah, and like concretely, what I feel that me and the other performer Timo were doing, that we were playing with many sorry, my English, I have to find words. We were playing with many elements and how we can create worlds with the light, with the sound, but not just like I am performing or Timo is performing, but what the human body can maybe bring out of this light, what is not seen, what is seen. So it was, yeah, very different way to create a performance, because yeah, many times there is like, okay, we create the choreography or we make a play, and then maybe there's a light designer at the same time, or maybe the light is designed afterwards. But to start with the light and then start to create what is seen, what is not seen, was interesting as a dance artist. Yeah, and of course, like we cannot hide the bodily experience, like as a performer or as an audience. But I feel like there we went through many landscapes, from micro to macro. Yeah, starting from the darkness, seeing the algae, and going to the bigger picture. And also what we haven't mentioned, that in Turku City Theatre, there was the possibility to change the level of the stage. So it also brought this vertical experience, just, yeah, different perspectives to see the world, experience the world as a performer, as an audience. Yes, it's we yesterday talked with Vespa that it somehow feels that it's so near that it's quite hard to like sum it up. So it's more like thoughts. Yeah, but maybe if you have something to ask, I try to answer more, or Vespa tries to answer more.
We can open this up. I don't want to be the singular question person, but I do have one quick question because I'm coming from a compositional background, music. How was the interaction of the sound? There sounded like there was like lyric. Did I hear some lyrics? And then there was a kind of they say Kone musiikki, machine. That's not really the quite word. And I was just curious, who was the composer, sound designer, or how did that all work?
Yes, the sound designer was Markus Heino. That we have been collaboration for a long time now, and he used this sonification of DNA data in this performance, and that's also one thing that the scientists used if they have a big amount of data, so they can through sonification they can see or hear the differences in DNA data. For example, this algae has 60 times longer DNA than humans, although it's so small that you can't see it with your bare eye. So there was, we call it sound design, but there was also one music piece composed because I wanted that there was this musical ending. So that was in the end as well. But he composed and made the sound design in the performance. And in that, what Ilona was talking about, that we used the theater floor. So that was also one of the things that we used, the infrastructure in theater that was already there, that we didn't have any set, that we wanted to use the space and the infrastructure. And we tried to make the carbon footprint really low, not to make new things there. And also we didn't even put the dimmers on in a performance in the stage, that we used only one light source, the video projector. And because if you use the dimmers in a big theater hall, so there's always just that they are turned on, it uses really quite amount of electricity. So this is also one like this designing in designing stage, things that you can choose beforehand, how to make your practice work in an ecological mindset. That do you really need these or those things? There were times that I was thinking, do we have to put the dimmers on? But then I was like, no, we are not going to use them. We are going to use this only one projector. And it turned out well because, of course, there were other light sources, the algae as well. So bio light.
It seems like a real template for sustainable theater production, what you've done.
Yeah, that is the goal in every performance, I think, that you have to, it's all about designing how to, and it's not about that the performance should be about some ecological aspects, like you can do a performance about love with an ecological mindset, that you can think about how much to use electricity, how to travel. It's not that everyone should do these climate crisis performances, but just to think how to make them and what happens afterwards to those things you've created. That's one thing as well, that people have, like, all the storages packed up with gears from performances that nobody knows what to do with them. So that's something I think that should be also considered before.
I want to add about when Vespa mentioned musical and about like how to talk about important things, but in which way. Are we going always to the horror mood, or can we somehow bring with the lightness and maybe even entertainment way to bring important knowledge? So I think that was maybe also one thing why the musical was there. Plus also, like, art can be fun also.
Yes, that's one thing, because when you go to these world exhibitions, for example, for performance art, for example, the Prague Quadrennial, and you go and see around what people are doing. So art is serious. It is really serious business. Too often, I think. The message can be serious, but it should be also try to make it, because art is fun as well, I think. And that's one of the main things, I think, that it doesn't have to be dark in a sensible way.
In one of our other NORDPLUS networks, which just finished a 3-year funded period, creative environmental education, because we were working with children. This was such a critically important concept of avoiding the fear factor and how to create a positive, quote, environment working with the children. And actually, they were the ones who gave us all the ideas in that project. So. We have some time left, and I'd like to just open up the floor for anybody who have any comments or questions. Please go ahead. I know the Zoom environment is never so friendly for that interactive question session, but I'll close my microphone and just leave it to the rest, unless you have anything else that Vespa or Ilona would like to share with us.
Or you can take your plants and hug them in the meanwhile.
Feels different.
Yes.
Okay, only I will say thank you for your this marvelous project and your kind of work. And this kind of project as well remind me the kind of research that I really now work in every day. I
don't mean to interrupt. If you do ask a question, could you just quickly identify yourself and from what institution you're from? Thanks.
Okay, I'm Sebastian. I come from Catholic University San Antonio from Spain, and I'm the head of Performing Art Research Group. Actually, currently I research about proprioception and martial art, internal martial art. All that you are explaining, it's reverb or sound very familiar, because in the internal martial art, work with the hidden movement, and it's something like it's provoked me some reaction, that all that you are explaining to me, because it's as well something familiar when I working with the twist-ow of pushing hands, because it's something like it's not apparently to the audience it's not movement, but happen a lot of nervous system function is very active. I don't know how to explain, but it's something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have studied philosophy around Ikebana, for example. So there's lots of these connections between philosophies in martial arts as well, and from the East that come. So lots of that. We tend to talk that does the wind blow here? That is there space enough, and things that are kind of tools as well for us in practice, I think.
Thanks.
Yes, Olga, please.
Yeah, hi, yeah, I'm Olga from Latvian Academy of Culture, and it's actually not a question. It just, I don't know, they're huge compliments, because they think what you are doing is just simply amazing. And but this is for me, it's not an art, it's a lifestyle. Like you live with your life and with your art, or like you live your art in your life, or other way around. This is amazing. And of course, I really would like to bring you to Latvia for my students to share the experience, but live, not Zoom, but maybe Zoom. Thank you a lot. And thank you, Vespa, and thank you, Ilona, as well. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Olga. All our performances are designed to be touring performances, because the most ecological performance is the one that is often performed. So the life cycle of one performance, I think, should be 10 years. So that's why I think we should focus on doing them really well. And I think that now, when we have had this break now, so it will be really nice to see how the plants are waking up. For example, when we have had these plant jam sessions and touring with the plants. So we had 1 month summer leave holiday, and after that 1 month they have kind of forgot what was the thing. So it was three performances that it lasted, that they will, okay, this was the thing that we were doing. So they learn as well.
But do you adapt your performance for different plants? Do you bring your, technical stuff, and then you stay like Latvian Riga Botanic Garden, or I don't know, in the Riga Park, and you adapt your performance to circumstances you have in the different countries?
Yes, that's the idea in Vox Herbarium, that we only have the equipment with us, and then we come and see the garden that it's like this, and then we have 1 or 2 days, and then we can perform it.
Wow!
Because it's about the taxonomical way of studying in taxonomical way the plants through sound and movement. So of course it's different every time, but
that Riga biological garden is actually fantastic. We've been there. We're coming towards the end. Vespa and Ilona, I want to thank you both. But Vespa, very quickly, you have this Kone Foundation residency. Could you just real quickly share with us what that will entitle and be involved with?
I should check the title from somewhere, but I'm working now with a private foundation called Kone Foundation, one of the biggest foundations in Finland. And they fund me for 2 years now. And the topic is this hidden diversity, quantum physics as a practice in my artistic work, creating ecological performances or artworks. So I haven't really cracked it yet, the quantum physics. But if I do, you'll be first to know. But it's about these multiple worlds, I would say. That is one theory in quantum physics that I'm studying, or not studying, but using that as a practice in my artistic work. I would love to meet some quantum physics and discuss this. It would be really nice.
Well, thank you so much, Ilona and Vespa. What a great way to kick off our spring series. Really, from I loved what Olga said, that it is about a life, about a lifestyle, not just the focus on the artistic practice and the science coming together. Very inspirational for our network, for students who are watching, and this will be shared with the 15 partners. We have a huge geographic sweep from Greenland all the way down to Lithuania, and I'm very proud that we could begin the series with both of you. Suuri kiitos minun sydämestäni. Thank you very much from my heart. And just to let everybody know, March 22nd from 1:30 to 3, we will have the Marine Research Institute from Klaipeda University presenting from their scientific point of view. And everybody's invited to that. But wishing everybody a wonderful day. And one last time, clap thank you for Vespa and Ilona. And for Fern Orchestra. We need the Fern Orchestra in the Cape Network. My mind is already going. I know Olga likes that too. Everybody have a great afternoon. And I will be sending this via OneDrive, the link to the webinar series. A pleasure to be with you all. Have a great afternoon, and thank you so much, everybody in Vespa and Ilona.
Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.